Hello, Steam It. Hello, YouTube. Crypto G here, just coming at you with another Pixlr video tutorial. I thought I would just give you a little tutorial, just kind of continuing really from our 3D kind of text range and trying to find little tricks and tips to increase the 3D look and make your text jump out at you. So I've just done a little thing here. If you watched the last tutorial, this will be familiar to you, where I created this kind of room, if you like, of red and yellow. I think I used other colors in the tutorial. However, the concept was the same, and then I put the words depth perception, and we gave it a little shadow and bevel, and basically use layer styles to make them more 3D. So I've added some shadow here, as you can see, and that's really what I wanted to kind of show you here. So I'll take you through the whole process. We'll do a new thing. And obviously I'll skip forward bits so that people who've seen this first bit don't get bored. But yeah, I think it's best I take you through the whole process. Okay, so first I'm going to open up a new image, and I'm just going to make that sort of quite big, basically. So I've got somewhere big to work in. I'll make that about 6 by 4, 4.7, doesn't really matter. Okay, and we're calling this depth perception tutorial. Okay, we're going to make it a transparent layer, and we're going to say OK. Okie dokie. So let's just get that to a good size. So the first thing we basically do is we add a background, and we do that via a gradient. So the gradient colors I'm actually going to steal from, oops, I've just filled that in by accident. So there's quite a lot of sun on my screen at the moment. There we go. So yeah, the gradient colors I'm actually going to get from here, just to save time. Okay, yeah, believe we used that gradients. As you can see, there are various gradients there. I'm just going to choose the color of, actually I'm going to choose the dark color first, because that way the light color should follow. Okie dokie, and that's just there. Yep, there it is, A632. We'll say OK. Right, now we're going to put the gradient on. We'll go down. We'll probably have to adjust this, to be honest. Something that we do after. Okay, so we've got that on. Now we're going to put a text layer on, and this is our original text, which will say depth perception. Depth perception, that's in black. It's quite small because our canvas is so big, so we'll make that bigger. We'll just move that. Right, that'll do for now. We can OK that. Then we just come over here. We're going to rename this, because this will get confusing if we don't rename this, and you'll see why in a bit. We'll rename this original text, and we're renaming layer 0 back 1, which you know from the other tutorial. Okay, now we're going to rasterize this layer. Rasterize layer. There we go. And sometimes that goes smaller, I've noticed, which is a bit of a strange one. But anyway, we're going to transform that back up again. Okay, there we go. Right. Yes, we do want the changes. Okay. Now the next thing we do, oops, we didn't want a layer, is we go back to the background layer and we are going to do our free distort. So we'll come up to edit, free distort. I'm just going to go down and drag that off to our distance points. Okay, so I've got that lined up pretty much how I'd like it. Now we go back up to our original. Yes, we are going to accept those. We're going to go back to our original text and we're going to come down here and we're going to go to the layer styles. Now we want a drop shadow. Actually, I'm going to get a bit closer first. So I really want to see this properly. Right, okay, layer styles now. And the first thing we want is our drop shadow. And we want that at a degree of about 49, I think it is. 49 degrees, yep, there we go. That's good. And we want the distance in. Yep, that's good. And we want the size, yeah, the size should be 0. Okay, now we're going to go for some bevel. Actually, the bevel we're going to put on a bit later. We're going to go for some outer glow now, which should be black. Okie dokie. It's quite hard. We want the opacity down on this one. About 73. Okay, there we go. Right. I'm going to add the bevel now. We add extra. Yeah, we do actually. We want the bevel now. That's right. We want the bevel now. We're going to turn down the shadows. We're going to turn it to an outer bevel. We're going to bring, oops, where are we? We're bringing, hang on, sorry, 1 second. Let's bring the shadows back. There we go. So now I just want to bring the white there. There we go. And we want that at an angle of 49 as well, which will match our drop shadow. Okay. So now we want this right down. We hardly want any shadow with this. We just mainly want the white. Okie dokie. Right, so that's us done for the layer styles. Okay. Now we're going to create a second background. So I'm just going to add a new layer actually. New layer. Bring this down to the bottom and we're going to call it back 2. Back 2. Right, now we are going to, again, we're going to just steal the gradient coordinates from this picture. just go back to here. Oops. And move this to one side. Okay, here we go. So we want the gradient tool. To click on here, go for the dark color, and just use the eyedropper to just sample up there. That's close enough. That wasn't the code that I used, but it's close enough. So I'm just going to say OK. You can come back to this picture now. Yeah, this took a little while, so I might just fast forward this bit because, oops, now that's not what we wanted because I sampled the wrong end. Okay, so I'm just going to fast forward this bit, and it's because I sampled this end, and bring you back when I've chosen the right one. Hello, Steemits. Welcome back. I've just been messing about here with the gradient, and actually, yesterday with this, with the image I showed you first, you can see that's kind of more, it's kind of glowing on both sides. That's probably because I spent a lot more time making the lightness of the pink gradient mix with the lightness of the yellow gradient. And also I used a radial glow on the yellow, and I used a linear on the red. And I found that mix gave me this really nice, oops, that's the wrong way. I found the mix gave me a really nice glare on both sides and really helped with the sort of with the lighting effect. However, as you can see, I mean, it takes quite a lot of sort of practice to get it just right. And so instead of doing that, and I'm kind of in the middle of a tutorial, and want to kind of finish this, I will just go with the linear gradient, that this one here. So yeah, so it's not perfect, however it's still got the desired effect. Okay, so let's move on. So we've got now our two backgrounds, and there's probably not, it's not a bad argument to say perhaps it's better to do the free distort after putting in a yellow background and distorting into the yellow rather than the other way around, fitting the yellow around the red. I think then, probably get a bit more accuracy. Okay, so we're going to go to our original text layer now, and we're going to go edit, free transform. Free transform. Okay, so I'm going to just bring that down. Might even fix that drop shadow, it's a bit far back actually. Okie dokie, so we'll accept those, and we'll go to the layer styles, and we'll go and change that drop shadow distance is too much. It should be 4, not 6. There we go. That's better. And let's have a look at that bevel. Yeah, we don't want any of that actually. Oops. Yeah, we don't want any of that. and that should be 49, not 48. Okie dokie, let me just double check. Drop shadow, again 48. There we go. Keener-eyed amongst you would have spotted that mistake straight away. Just have a look at our bevel. Bevel again, 49. Okay. Okie dokie. Right, now we're cooking. Okay, so we've got that right. Now we're going to use a gradient on the letters themselves, which I've only just remembered I would have done at the beginning, but makes no difference actually. So I'm just going to go to the one tool. I'm going to untick contiguous, and I'm just going to click on, make sure I click on the black section of the letters. There we go. Take that tolerance down actually. There we go, got the tolerance down. Right, now we can go to our gradients. And we're going to choose the darkest color first. And we're going to come down to, I think it was about there, a kind of sea blue is what we're looking for. Just a bit brighter. Yep. And then the light side we want to change to, we want to come into the same range. Wasn't there. We want to come, in fact we want to just move it to there and go just off white. Okay, there we go, that's perfect. Right, now we click off to get our palette, and then we just click and drag up one of the letters. That's not bad. Perhaps sort of that length. We don't actually have to go over the letters. We want this sort of. Okay, welcome back. I have obviously just chosen gradients, so I just lost you there for a second while I was just making sure everything was how I wanted it. So I'm going to deselect all. Okay, so now we come to the additional shadow is what we want now. Okay, so we've got our letters. Okay, hi Stevians, welcome back. Sorry, I just lost you there for a while I was sorting out the gradient. But also why I was kind of a bit hesitant was things didn't quite seem right, and so I just went back and reminded myself of my layer style of my original text. And as you can see here, it's got a drop, it's got a bevel, the style is in the distance is 1, the angle is indeed 48, and the size is 0. We've got 10 on the opacity black, and we've got a kind of creamy color here on the opacity, which is basically which I took from mid-tone around here. So I'm just going to quickly reset my styles. Also the drop shadow, just so you know, is opacity 100%, distance 4, again 48 angle, size 0. So it's just those two. So if you are still watching and you watch the others, I'm just going to change the layer styles. And so yeah, I'll get you back in a second. Okay, hi guys. So I've sorted all of that out. So we've sorted out our gradient, and of course we've just readjusted those layer styles so that the drop shadow now reads 100 opacity, 4 distance, 0 size, 48 angle, and the bevel now reads inner 1 distance, size 0, 48 angle. We've got this color which we grabbed from our mid-tone, which is a FFE 675, and we've got the color of the shadows at black and the distance at 10. So, and no outer glow. So okay, so now we have sorted that out. Okay, so now we come on to adding the shadows. So first of all, we need to duplicate our, oh no, sorry. First of all, we need a new text layer. That's what we need. So we need a new text layer. So we're just going to plonk that down there. And we are just going to type exactly the same words again, depth perception. We're going to rename this layer straight away, and we're going to say base shadow. That's what we're going to call this one. You'll see why in a second. We're going to put this underneath the original text. Oh, it's just didn't okay that. See, this is why we changed original text in the beginning, because we're going to type in depth perception again, but it didn't save my base shadow, or rather I didn't save it before moving. There we go. We're going to rasterize that layer, make sure we're still on the right one. Edit, layer, rasterize layer. No sun on my screen now, so I can see clearly. Right, now we will go edit, free transform. First of all, we're just going to elongate that slightly. So that's about right. Now we'll click off and accept the changes. Yup. And we'll go straight into, oops, I clicked on another layer there. We'll just OK that to delete it. Okay, make sure we're all correct. It just keeps renaming my layer. How bizarre. How bizarre. That's very strange. I'm going to go to free distort. Now, really can't work out what's happened there. That's I've never seen that before. Never seen that before, so I can't really explain that one. Okay, and we're going to just walk this down over here. Free distort. I just want to get the N kind of right. And yeah, the light source that we're faking, I want to kind of fake that it's quite low down. The layer mask onto this, so come down here, add layer mask, and there it goes. And we're going to come up to our brushes, our brush tool, and we're going to add some brushes. We're going to go to more, we're going to go these first ones here, charcoal. I find that gives us a nice effect. Add those. I'm going to come down to sort of one here, go in a bit closer. Let's get that up. To the side, and we're going to start. I'll just move this over so it's not distracting us. Okay, and I'm just going to start lightly dusting. I might even choose a lighter brush here, or in fact just spread the diameter and the spacing. Actually, I'm going to spread. Oops, we want that spacing right up. There we go. And I'm just going to dust this shadow back in. Right, I will get you back in a sec. Okay, just very quickly, Stemians. I haven't finished, as you can see, but I just found the ideal brush, which is basically brush number 48 here, and I've upped the diameter, and this gives me that shadow effect that I'm looking for. So I'm going to just rub out these first ones that I did with my eraser, with just the hard eraser, it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to add in with brush number 48 the rest of the shadow. Okay, I'll speak to you in a second. Okay there, hi Steamians. Welcome back on YouTubers. As you can see, I've just sort of finished, and with that charcoal brush, I kind of just dabbed in. And what I like about that charcoal brush, it's kind of just like, you know, if you can imagine if you had a sponge with some charcoal on it, the sort of, you know, if you dab lightly, you're just going to get light bits, and if you press and drag, you're going to get much heavier sort of bits like this. So yeah, so that's our first shadow, and then what I've gone and done with the eraser is I've just taken away, just started to take away the imperfect bits where the shadows are too far behind the letters, and it's obvious that, you know, that shadow wasn't created by that letter. So just going to start, so now we're going to basically add in our second shadow layer. So we should have actually duplicated the letters when we first made it, but it doesn't actually matter. You'll see why now. So we're not going to duplicate the layer, we're going to put a new layer in here, and we're going to rename that partial shadow. In fact, we're just going to call it partial. That's good enough. Click off that. Okay, so now we are going to rasterize that layer straight away. Layer, rasterize layer. Then we're going to go edit, free transform. Yes to those changes. Yep. And then we're going to go free distort straight away. And we're going to pull, I'm going to pull right in to here. And we're going to start connecting up the bits that weren't connected in the first place, which, to tell you the truth, no, let's not apply those changes. We should have that base shadow on while we do this, so that we know where we need to connect to. Okay, so make sure I'm on partial, and then go edit, free distort, and let's go. Okay, welcome back, Steamians. Just brought you back just before I accept the changes. As you can see here, I've more or less lined up the letters. It doesn't have to be precise because shadows aren't precise, they get diffused, so that's fine, we can use that effect. And I've just made sure that the letters I want to be kind of touching the original letters are. I'll just adjust that P there. And yeah, it's going to be two distorts probably. So I'm going to accept these changes. I'm just going to say yes in a sec, and then I'm going to go edit, free distort, and I'm just going to line up that P, basically that first P a little bit better. Oops, no, I'm not going to do it like that. I'm going to do it like that. There we go. And get that D right. And so as long as I've got these end letters right, these ones aren't so important. These ones at the end, at this end, I should say. Okay. And yeah, let's accept that. Okay, so we've got that now how we want. We're going to accept that. And we're going to go to the partial, and we're going to add a layer mask. Go up to our brush again. We should be on the same brush. Yes, we are. And we're just going to start dusting in where we want our secondary shadows to come up, and you'll see they won't meet perfectly. That's fine. We'll do a little bit of jiggery pokery there, and they'll be fine. Okay, so I'll bring you back in a second. Okay, so now I've got them in, and now I'm just going to go around with the eraser on both levels, taking bits back and deciding how much of the base shadow I want and how much of the partial shadow, and just trying to kind of link them up, and like I say, using that kind of diffused effect that we have on shadows naturally in nature. And yeah, just trying to recreate that effect. Oops. So I'll bring you back in a second. Okay, Steamians, I'm not going to finish this off in this tutorial, but as you can see, what I've been doing is flipping between the two layers, adding brush and flipping between brush and eraser, and adding and taking away the different layers of shadows. And to be quite honest, you could carry on doing it in this one that I did yesterday that we can see here. I called this depth P, which is basically depth partial shadow, you know what I mean? And kind of went on and, really went to town with the kind of brushes I used. And just went on and had this lovely glow in the corner, and there that kind of whites out the shadow. These bits are kind of a bit more hard on the corner so that it looks more like the shadows diffusing up, and even there I could have done a little bit better and kind of made it a bit more diffused and not so straight and perfect kind of thing. So yeah, there's a lot you can do and mess around once you've got the basic premise, which is hopefully what I've given you, and hopefully you get a chance to practice. This is done on a tutorial, and to be honest, I've only done this once, so I didn't recreate it perfectly, but you can see how just spending a little bit more time and care over where you get the glare of the gradients, trying to get it to a bit more point, which I did here really. I mean, this took a good few hours of messing about. And you can just see there it's quite a nice, I'm quite happy with it. Maybe some of you won't agree, but it's quite a nice effect. And even though the floor's a bit wonky in the background, I wasn't really paying attention to that. I was really just kind of trying to focus on this whole effect. And there as well, you've got a kind of fake line of floor. That's what I wanted to talk about as well. If you've got lowercase letters like P's and J's or whatever, that kind of go lower than the line of the rest of the letters, treat those as magically sunken into a floor that you can still see, kind of thing. It's one of those little cheats that perhaps animators do from time to time. Okay, there's my phone, and it's perfect time to finish this tutorial. Okay, thanks very much, and bye-bye. Themians, I just wanted to quickly bring you back because I was just playing around with a concept yesterday, and I forgot to add it to the tutorial, and I forgot to try it, and I just have, and it kind of works. So basically what I did here was let me just delete this layer mask. I created a new layer. I just deleted the layer. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to delete the layer mask. I created a new layer. I stuck it underneath original text, but over everything else. I sampled a grey color, used a grey color from my other image, used a shadow, got that roughly around there. Then I went up to filter, added noise, made it sort of about 77 noise. That's actually reset now because it's giving me a new filter. So set it to about 77 noise. like that. Then simply added a layer mask, and then used various brushes. I used a sort of soft diffuse brush around here, 150, around here. Got in a bit closer, actually. It was probably around 50. Got in a bit closer and just started peppering the edges, which kind of looks quite nice, actually, because you sort of start to, you know, get that kind of diffused shadow feel, and you can stop them being so perfect. So I'm just going to go around some of these hard edges where I don't believe the shadow should be so hard, and make it a bit thingy. That's the guy for the washing machine. So, okay, thanks very much, Simeons, and bye-bye.